What I am going to teach you tonight is a very simple but powerful technique that can go along with Reiki with the Seiki, the emotional, because that's what this really is the emotional freedom technique. So I have found that when I go to do the EFT, I always kind of make the sign of the Seiki in the top of my mouth and then blow it out so that it's surrounding the people that I am about to teach. If I'm doing a class or if I'm doing a one-on-one. So in going over the front of it, emotional freedom technique, what is it? It's an emotional form of acupuncture, except that we don't use needles. We use our own fingers. So we tap with our fingertips and we stimulate different meridian points, acupressure points. So when the client gets tuned in to, they're thinking about what they're wanting to tap on, whether it be fear, anger, whatever the case is. So they're tuned into that emotion. So when they do the tapping, that actually releases that emotion from their body. Now, they used to think that the emotion caused the energy to not be correct in the body, to be out of alignment. And they've now learned that that's not the case, that the body was already out of alignment, and that's what caused the emotion to stick. So this is a way of unsticking it. It's kind of like Teflon coating. So you can, get rid of it. But like we all know, with any kind of emotions, it's like peeling an onion. So even though maybe one part of that, the aspect of that emotion is gone, say it's a fear and you're having a fear of heights, that's not to say that a different type of fear is not going to creep in. All you've taken is the fear of heights out of your body. So a lot of people will come back and say, but I still have the fear. Well, what's the fear of? It's usually not of the height. It's usually a different form of fear. So then you just have to go back and tap on whatever it is that came up. So with EFT, we consider that these subtle energies that circulate throughout our bodies to be the front-running cause of emotional upsets. Western scientists have largely ignored these subtle energies. They try to pretend that they don't exist. But they're coming more and more to the forefront because you have more and more people willing to go and see an acupuncturist, willing to say, okay, I'll try this, instead of saying, oh, this isn't going to work, this is stupid, I'm not going to have somebody, put needles in me. And they think that these needles are big needles and that they're going to hurt, and usually they don't. Usually you don't even feel them. But with EFT, we don't have to use needles, we just use our fingertips. So it's more like acupuncture. No, acupressure, excuse me. As a result, our use of them for emotional and spiritual healings has been sparse at best. But with EFT, however, we consider these subtle energies to be the front-running cause of emotional upsets. As a result, we generate results that are far beyond those of conventional methods. More and more psychiatrists and psychologists are using this as a way of breaking through. Breaking through with issues that they've had with their clients for years and years. Matter of fact, that's how it was really discovered by Dr. Callahan. He had been a psychologist in California working with a woman for several years with a fear of water. And she was so fearful that she wouldn't take a shower. Get in a bath, nothing, because she was so afraid of water. And she came for her appointment one day and said that she didn't know if she could stay for the appointment because she was very sick to her stomach. Well, Dr. Callahan knew from Chinese medicine, studying different modalities, that if you tapped underneath your eye on the bone, underneath your eye, that is a stomach pressure, and that it would stop the nausea. So he said, well, let's try it. So she was again tuned into that being sick to her stomach, that nausea, and they did it for a couple minutes. And she said, okay, I can go home now. And he said, well, if the nausea is, gone, well, let's just stay and do our session. And she said, yeah, but you don't understand. I'm not afraid of water anymore. And he's going, what are you talking about? Well, he had his, he saw people in his house. He had an area in his house that he saw his clients. And in his house, attached to his house, was a pool. So she said, come, I'll show you. So she went out to the pool and he followed, and she took off her shoes and the socks and she got into the water. Now EFT doesn't make you stupid, so she didn't get into the water where she was fully immersed, but she got into water that she hadn't been in for years and years and years. And so then he took it a step further and said, okay, there's got to be something to this. And so he was the one that actually started this form of emotional freedom. What they did in the beginning is that they had a machine that actually, you would speak into the machine and the machine would be able to tell you the degree of anxiety that you had at this issue. So this machine was like $10,000. So there was Gary Craig. I don't know how many people are familiar with Gary Craig, but he was one of the leaders of EFT. And her name was Adrienne, but I can't remember what her last name is right now. And so they went to a session to learn this. Now, Gary Craig was an engineer, so he had no medical background at all. So they went, they were very interested, and they together bought a machine. And so they set up a practice. But it got to the point that they couldn't use the machine at the same time. So one evening, Gary had somebody that he was working with, and he said, well, let's just do this. I want you to imagine in your head a barometer. And in this barometer, there's going to be a scale of 1 to 10. And you're going to think about what this is, this emotion, whether it was anger or fear, whatever, sadness, and you're going to tell me to what degree is it in your body. How much do you feel of it? 0 being none, 10 being the highest on this barometer. And they would do a round of tapping, and then he would have them again kind of go into themselves, close their eyes, look at this barometer, and say, okay, where is it now? And he found that by doing this, they got the same response as doing it on the machine. So they're going, wow, this is great, because now we can teach more and more people how to do it. So that's where the beginning of it started. So they have, they've done this, and they've done this now I've been doing it for like 15 years, so it's been even longer than that they've been doing it. So they've kind of critiqued it more and more.